Well, you're right. I do have a passion for healthcare, even though I don't have a background in it. But I really enjoyed my time as critic and as patient ombudsman. I have spoken with a lot of people about it. But I think any decisions that we make in healthcare also have to be viewed against our current financial situation, and which I think we'll probably speak about later. So we have to remember that there isn't a lot of money that is available to add to the system. What I think we really need to do is use the money that we have in health right now better than we have been. So there have been many international studies that have said that we're spending a lot of money, but we're not getting the value that we should get for each healthcare dollar that we spend. So I think there's a number of areas that we could look at. One is, I think we need to actually look at mental health and addictions. That is something that we had in our previous platform that I think is really important, because we have a lot of unnecessary visits to emergency departments. We have a lot of young people that are getting caught up in our justice system and in jails and so on, that if we spent a bit more money in mental health programs and services for those young people, we would be able to deter them from getting into trouble with justice and with police and so on, that it would be a better value for money spent. So I think one thing we have to start doing is looking beyond the individual ministerial silos to say it's not just about how much money you put into health, but if you put this much more into health, how much more do you save down the line in some of the other ministries? So I think we need to start getting away from the old school view of government and start looking at it more pragmatically in ways that it's going to help people.
Well, your point's a good one, and I think that sometimes the program managers that are 2 or 3 layers down in the ministry's organizational chart kind of guard their budget jealously.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe are not as motivated if there are savings found elsewhere in the system. And that's a problem that I think someone has to fix sooner or later.
Well, I understand that that's a concern, that nobody wants to lose money from their own budgets, but I think if we start looking at how we approach certain problems in government differently, then I don't think you're going to have that sort of a mentality. So, for example, if you had a committee on mental health and addictions, there is one there that exists now, but I think it's deputy ministers that are dealing with it. I think that you need to have a minister who is primarily responsible for any given issue, and then bring the other ministers in so that we see it as a holistic picture and not seen as, well, I'm going to lose this money from my budget or take money from this budget. This is a problem that everyone in government needs to deal with, and hopefully over time you can break down some of those silos.
And there was not too long ago, a few years ago, there was a select committee of the legislature that had one MPP
Yes.
from each party on it that studied mental health a little bit.
Yes.
I think that's a committee that you know something about.
Yes, that was a private member's bill that I brought forward, and the government was good enough to set up select committees on mental health and addictions and another one on developmental services. And it was really a good opportunity for members from all 3 parties to get together, to put aside partisan differences, and to really focus on the problem that needed to be solved. And I think if we could do more select committees in government, and that would really help the people that expect that when we get elected, we're going to do that anyway. And also break down some of the silos that exist amongst the various parties, because you tend to only speak with people in your own party. Liberals do, NDP do, Trillium Party, Green Party, whoever else gets elected. I think it's better to get people together, because then I think it's less likely that once you get to know members from the other party personally, that you're going to be hurling insults at them across the aisle, and things should be a little bit more civil. At least that's the way I would hope that it would work. But with the select committees that I worked on, it did work that way.